Imagine waking up every morning, stretching your arms above your head, and feeling nothing. No aching joints, no stiffness in your back, no wincing as you swing your legs over the side of the bed, just the pleasant sensation of a body that moves freely, without the constant companion of pain that so many believe is inevitable after 70. For millions of seniors around the world, this scenario sounds like fantasy, a pipe dream, something that happens to other people, but not to them. After all, isn't pain just part of getting older? Isn't it the price we pay for the privilege of living a long life? That's what conventional wisdom tells us. That's what many doctors still believe. That's what countless seniors have resigned themselves to accepting. But what if I told you they were wrong? My name is your name, and for the past 15 years, I've been working with seniors who've transformed their golden years from a time of limitation and discomfort to one of freedom and joy. I've witnessed 75-year-olds who once struggled to climb stairs, go on to hike mountains. I've seen 80-year-olds who couldn't lift their grandchildren become strong enough to play active games with their great-grandchildren. And today, I'm going to share the secret that made these transformations possible. If you or someone you love is struggling with chronic pain in your later years, what I'm about to share might change everything you thought you knew about aging and pain. Because the truth is, while certain changes in our bodies are inevitable as we age, living in constant pain isn't one of them. In the next hour, I'm going to reveal 5 scientifically backed strategies that have helped thousands of seniors reclaim their mobility, rediscover their independence, and rewrite their story of what life after 70, 80, or even 90 can look like. You'll learn why inflammation might be the hidden culprit behind your persistent pain, and the simple daily habits that can dramatically reduce it. You'll discover the specific movements that can strengthen your joints rather than wear them down. You'll understand the critical connection between what's on your plate and how your body feels when you get out of bed each morning. I'll share stories of real people just like you or your loved ones, who thought pain was their permanent companion until they discovered these 5 strategies. People like Margaret, who at 82 was taking 9 different medications for pain management, and now needs just 1. Or James, who at 76 had given up his beloved woodworking hobby and now spends hours in his workshop, pain-free. So if you're ready to challenge everything you thought you knew about aging and pain, stick with me. Because these 5 strategies might be the game changer you or your loved one has been waiting for. Let's begin with the first and perhaps most surprising secret: why controlling inflammation might be the key that unlocks everything else. I still remember the day Martha walked into my office. At 73, she moved with the careful deliberation of someone expecting pain with every step. Her hands were swollen, her shoulders hunched, and there was a resignation in her eyes that I'd seen countless times before. "This is just how it is at my age," she told me, echoing a sentiment I've heard from so many seniors. But here's what Martha didn't know, what so many people don't realize. The persistent pain she was experiencing wasn't simply old age. It was inflammation gone rogue. You see, inflammation itself isn't the enemy. It's actually one of your body's most important protective mechanisms, a complex biological response that helps heal injuries and fight off invaders. When you cut your finger, the redness and swelling that follows is acute inflammation doing exactly what it should. The problem arises when this protective response doesn't shut off. When inflammation becomes chronic, persisting for months or years, it stops protecting your body and starts damaging it instead. And this chronic low-grade inflammation is now recognized by scientists as a major contributor to pain in aging bodies. Here's what happens. As we age, our bodies naturally produce more inflammatory compounds and fewer anti-inflammatory compounds. This imbalance is called inflammaging, a term coined by researchers to describe the chronic low-grade inflammation that characterizes aging in the human body. This silent inflammation damages tissues, irritates nerves, and contributes significantly to the joint pain, muscle soreness, and stiffness that many associate with growing older. But, and this is crucial, while this inflammatory shift is common, in aging bodies it is not inevitable. You can regain control. When Martha learned this, everything changed for her. Over the next 6 months, she implemented what I call the Anti-Inflammatory Triad: dietary changes, specific supplements, and stress reduction techniques that work synergistically to dial down inflammation. She eliminated the most inflammatory foods from her diet, particularly refined sugars, processed meats, and industrial seed oils high in omega-6 fatty acids. She increased her intake of naturally anti-inflammatory foods like fatty fish, olive oil, colorful berries, and leafy greens. She began taking targeted supplements, particularly omega-3 fatty acids, curcumin, and specific antioxidants known to combat oxidative stress. And perhaps most importantly, Martha learned techniques to manage her stress, because chronic stress triggers the release of cortisol, a hormone that promotes inflammation when it remains elevated. Simple daily meditation and guided breathing exercises became her tools for keeping stress in check. The transformation was remarkable. Within 3 months, the swelling in her hands had noticeably decreased. By 6 months, she was moving with a fluidity that seemed impossible before. And when I saw her at her 1-year follow-up, Martha didn't walk into my office. She strode in, with a sparkle in her eye that spoke volumes. "I feel like I've gotten years of my life back," she told me. "I never thought I could feel this good again." What would it mean for you or your loved one to reclaim that sense of physical freedom? To move through the world without the constant companion of pain? Take a moment to imagine waking up without that familiar stiffness. Picture yourself moving through your day with ease, engaging in activities you thought were behind you. This isn't fantasy. It's possible when you understand and address the inflammatory processes at work in your body. But inflammation is just the first piece of the puzzle. Let's move on to the second key strategy: enhancing joint mobility through targeted movement. Use it or lose it. It's a phrase we've all heard countless times, often with an eye roll or a dismissive wave of the hand. But when it comes to your joints after 70, this old adage contains profound wisdom that modern science has now confirmed. Let me introduce you to Robert. At 76, Robert had all but given up on his passion for gardening. The simple act of kneeling to tend his beloved roses had become an exercise in agony. His knees protested, his back seized, and the joy that had once filled his days was slowly being replaced by isolation and inactivity. "My doctor told me to take it easy," Robert explained during our first meeting. He said I needed to protect my joints from further damage. This advice, to limit movement and activity as we age, is perhaps one of the most pervasive and damaging myths about aging and pain. Because here's what decades of research has now conclusively shown: joints aren't like mechanical parts that wear out with use. They're living tissues that adapt and respond to the demands placed upon them. When you don't move a joint regularly through its full range of motion, several things happen, none of them good. The synovial fluid that lubricates the joint becomes stagnant, delivering fewer nutrients to the cartilage. The muscles surrounding the joint weaken, providing less support and stability. And perhaps most significantly, proprioception, your body's ability to sense its position in space, diminishes, increasing the risk of falls and further injury. The key understanding that transformed Robert's life was this: not all movement is created equal. While high-impact activities might indeed stress aging joints, specific targeted exercises can strengthen the supporting muscles, improve joint stability, and actually reduce pain. For Robert, we designed a program centered around 4 types of movement: gentle range of motion exercises to maintain flexibility, isometric exercises to build strength without stressing the joints, balance training to enhance proprioception, and targeted functional movements that mimicked the specific actions he needed for gardening. The first week was challenging. Robert experienced some discomfort as his body adjusted to moving in ways it hadn't for years. But we started gently, with just 5 minutes of exercise twice daily, gradually building his capacity. By the end of the first month, Robert noticed something remarkable. He could rise from a seated position with less pain. By the second month, he was able to kneel for short periods using a padded gardening bench we'd recommended. And by month 3, he sent me a photo that I still keep on my desk. Robert in his garden, tending to a new rose bush, a smile of pure joy lighting up his face. This transformation wasn't magic or luck. It was the result of understanding a fundamental truth about human physiology. Movement is medicine, particularly as we age. Studies now show that appropriate exercise not only reduces pain, but can actually regenerate cartilage tissue that was previously thought to be permanently damaged. Research from Stanford University has demonstrated that mechanical stimulation activates chondrocytes, the cells responsible for cartilage maintenance, prompting them to produce more of the extracellular matrix that gives cartilage its resilience. What might this mean for you? Imagine regaining the ability to play with grandchildren without wincing. Picture yourself taking that trip you've been postponing because you weren't sure your body could handle it. Envision rediscovering hobbies and passions that pain has taken from you. I want you to ask yourself, what have I stopped doing because of pain? What joy has been diminished in my life because movement hurts? Now, hold on to that thought, because it doesn't have to be your reality any longer, but movement alone isn't enough. The third secret to living pain-free after 70 lies in understanding the profound connection between what's on your plate and how your joints feel. Let's explore how nutrition becomes the foundation for bone and muscle health. Elena was skeptical, to say the least. At 78, she had spent decades managing her arthritis pain with an ever-increasing regimen of medications. When I suggested that what she ate might be contributing to her pain, and that changing her diet could potentially reduce it, she looked at me like I'd suggested she could fly. At my age, she asked with a hint of both amusement and resignation in her voice. I've been eating this way for nearly 8 decades. What difference could it possibly make now? This reaction is common and understandable. We tend to think of nutrition as something that affects our weight, our heart health, maybe our risk of diabetes. But its impact on our joints, our bones, our muscles, the very structures that determine whether we move with ease or with pain, is often overlooked. Yet the science is clear. What you eat directly influences the health of your skeletal system and the pain you experience. And perhaps most importantly, it's never too late to see benefits from improved nutrition. Here's what Elena didn't realize. After 70, our bodies face specific nutritional challenges that directly impact pain levels. Protein absorption efficiency declines, making it harder to maintain muscle mass, muscle that provides crucial support for aging joints. Calcium and vitamin D absorption decreases, compromising bone density and increasing fracture risk. And the ability to synthesize collagen, the protein that gives cartilage its structure and resilience, diminishes. Without addressing these nutritional needs, no amount of anti-inflammatory medication or exercise can fully resolve chronic pain. It's like trying to build a house with substandard materials. The structure will always be compromised. For Elena, we created a nutrition plan focused on 5 key elements. Adequate protein timed throughout the day to maximize muscle synthesis. Calcium and vitamin D from both food sources and supplements. Collagen-supporting nutrients including vitamin C, proline, and glycine. Natural anti-inflammatory compounds found in colorful fruits and vegetables. And hydration to maintain the synovial fluid that lubricates joints. The changes were gradual but profound. Within 2 months, Elena noticed she had more energy, a common first sign that nutrition is improving. By 4 months, she reported less morning stiffness, and by 6 months, something remarkable happened. Her rheumatologist was able to reduce one of her medications because her inflammation markers had improved significantly. "I never thought what I ate could make such a difference," Elena told me during our 6-month check-in. "For the first time in years, I can hold my knitting needles without my fingers aching." What Elena discovered was something that nutritional science has been demonstrating with increasing clarity. Food is not just fuel, it's information. Every bite sends biochemical messages throughout your body, signals that can either promote inflammation and pain or reduce it. Consider this striking finding from recent research. Participants who followed an anti-inflammatory Mediterranean diet, rich in olive oil, fatty fish, nuts, and fresh produce, showed a 30% reduction in osteoarthritis pain compared to control groups, independent of weight loss. Or this: higher protein intake in seniors, at least 1.2 grams per kilogram of body weight daily, is associated with 40% reduced risk of frailty and significantly better functional outcomes after injury. These aren't small marginal improvements. They're life-changing differences that can determine whether your later years are defined by limitation or by possibility. I'd like you to pause for a moment and consider: what have you been told about nutrition and aging? Have you accepted the idea that declining strength, increasing fragility, and persistent pain are inevitable? Because the evidence strongly suggests otherwise. But even the best nutrition and exercise routines can't fully compensate for the fourth critical factor in you living pain-free: the restorative power of quality sleep. Let's explore why what happens while you're unconscious might be the missing piece in your pain puzzle. Section 4. Prioritizing restorative sleep. Thomas had tried everything. At 74, his lower back pain had become so persistent that it dominated his life. He'd seen specialists, tried physical therapy, experimented with various medications, and even invested in an expensive adjustable bed. Nothing seemed to make a significant difference. When he first mentioned his sleep habits almost as an afterthought during our consultation, I wasn't surprised. "I get by on about 5 hours," he said. "Been that way for years. At my age, you don't need as much sleep, right?" This belief, that older adults naturally need less sleep, is one of the most pervasive and harmful myths about aging. It has led countless seniors to accept poor sleep as inevitable, when in fact compromised sleep might be one of the primary drivers of their pain. The truth is, while sleep patterns do change with age, the need for 7-9 hours of quality sleep remains. Constant throughout adulthood, what changes is not the need for sleep, but often the ability to achieve it. Here's what Thomas didn't realize. During deep sleep phases, your body launches a remarkable repair program. Growth hormone is released, triggering tissue regeneration and cellular repair. Blood flow to muscles increases, delivering nutrients and oxygen essential for healing. Inflammatory cytokines are regulated, helping to control chronic inflammation. And perhaps most critically for pain management, the brain processes pain differently during quality sleep, effectively resetting pain perception thresholds. When sleep, it is compromised, whether in quantity or quality, this essential restoration process is interrupted. The body remains in a state of physiological stress, inflammation increases, and pain sensitivity is heightened. It creates a vicious cycle. Pain disrupts sleep, and poor sleep intensifies pain. For Thomas, addressing sleep became the cornerstone of his pain management strategy. We implemented what I call sleep architecture restoration, a systematic approach to rebuilding healthy sleep patterns specifically designed for seniors. First, we established consistent sleep timing, leveraging his body's natural circadian rhythms. Then, we created a personalized wind-down routine involving specific relaxation techniques that signal the brain to prepare for sleep. We addressed environmental factors in his bedroom, optimizing temperature, light, and sound. And critically, we incorporated gentle, non-stimulating stretches before bed that specifically targeted his lower back tension. The transformation didn't happen overnight. Sleep patterns that have been disrupted for years take time to restore. But by the end of the second month, Thomas was consistently achieving 6.5 hours of sleep. By month 4, he was reaching 7 hours most nights. And with this improved sleep came something he hadn't expected: a dramatic reduction in his pain levels. "I've spent thousands on treatments," Thomas told me, "and all along, I might have just needed better sleep." His experience aligns perfectly with emerging research in sleep science. A landmark study from the University of California found that patients with chronic pain who improved their sleep quality reported a 60% reduction in pain intensity, more effective than many pharmaceutical interventions. Another study demonstrated that just one night of poor sleep can increase pain sensitivity by up to 40% in older adults. These findings challenge the conventional approach to pain management that often treats sleep as secondary. What if, instead of reaching first for pain medication, we prioritized sleep restoration? What if the key to living pain-free isn't found in more advanced surgical techniques or stronger medications, but in understanding and optimizing the restorative processes that happen while we sleep? I'd like you to reflect for a moment on your own sleep. Do you wake feeling refreshed? Do you fall asleep easily and stay asleep through the night? Or do you accept restless, interrupted sleep as an inevitable part of aging? Because the science is clear, quality sleep isn't a luxury for pain-free living after 70. It's a necessity. But even with optimal sleep, there's one more crucial element that ties everything together: the mind-body connection and the profound impact of the stress on physical pain. Let's explore how managing stress might be the final key to unlocking a pain-free life in your golden years.